All right, here we go. 1090. Jake, welcome back to Vlad TV.
Appreciate you.
You know, you've had a lot of heat recently.
Yeah.
You know, 50 Cent shouting you out and everything. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. You know, but congrats. Congrats on all the success.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate it.
Well, a lot to talk about today, but I think the first thing is the whole Lil Baby, Four Pockets Full potential RICO that seems to be coming together right now in Atlanta. What are your thoughts about this?
Personally, I think it's bullshit. I'm going to be honest with you. I predict if they go through with this, that this is going to end similar to the Thug situation. From what I've gathered out of the situation, they're alleging that Lil Baby shot a music video in a rival gang's neighborhood. Out of retaliation of that rival gang then decided to go do a shooting in an apartment complex that took the life of 2 teenagers. And they're blaming that on Lil Baby. So I don't understand, like, you could try to say what he did might have angered somebody, whatever, but if I tell fuck you and you try to shoot me and you end up hitting everybody behind me, how the fuck am I getting charged with you shooting at me? I don't necessarily see, because when it all came out, I thought they were trying to allege that his group did something that resulted in death. But apparently it's the other group did something and the police are trying to blame him. Another important thing to take out of this is audio came out from, what was it, the DA, the prosecutor? So she dropped audio basically saying that Lil Baby had money on people's heads. But
well, hold on. It's not Lil Baby saying it. It's 2 other people talking about saying that Lil Baby told them.
And that's the important thing. And it's not Lil Baby's people saying it. It's the rival group.
Oh.
So the same people who allegedly went and did this shooting are the same people that are allegedly caught on wiretap talking about Lil Baby said this and that. To me, it sounds like hearsay. Unless they plan on testifying against him, whatever. But I think it's another reach, and it's going to end with Atlanta, the judicial system of Atlanta, looking just as stupid as they did with the Thug situation. And the fact that Thug voicing his opinion on the same woman that was involved in his case, they tried to revoke his probation for that and claim that's gang activity is fucking insane.
Right, so I was about to get to that. So after this surfaced and everyone's talking about, oh, Lil Baby's catching a RICO and everything else like that, Young Thug tweeted, biggest liar in the DA office, with a picture of Marissa Viverezio, who's an investigator with the Atlanta Police Department who's involved in the trial. But, you know, she's testifying in the gang murder preliminary hearing, but, you know, during the actual hearing, there's a court order that her face wasn't to be shown on TV while she was testifying. So Young Thug posting her picture created a domino effect where people start saying, you know, pull up to her mama crib. They start posting her home address, her parents' home address. People are saying, you know, personally, you know, I'll personally make sure that Fonnie Willis is assassinated and everything else like that. You know, what they were saying from that tweet. So they actually filed for Young Thug's probation to be revoked. Now, I thought this was ridiculous. From that tweet to probation revoked, just because it caused certain things, I don't think you could blame Young Thug for just calling out somebody.
No, and I mean, it's similar to the YNW Melly case when the undercover detective's face was exposed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, public information is very public. And yeah, you want to go after everybody's favorite rapper, you're going to get some attention. And if you're going to be bold enough to show these videos and make these claims trying to put people away for life, people are going to do their homework on who the fuck you are. And it's going to come out. And you're going to feel how it feels to have the internet on your ass, right? When people are posting your addy and talking shit and saying they're going to do this, do that. If you look at my DMs, there's all type of fucking threats and this and that, whatever, where you could build all type of cases off of that shit. I'm not putting it out there, but they get a little bit of heat for what they're doing, and now they want to panic and try to revoke Thug's bond, and it got denied as it should. It's just insane that they keep trying to do these things.
Yeah, I mean, the prosecutors filed a motion to revoke his probation, and in the filing it says that Young Thug demonstrated a blatant disregard of the law, the safety of witnesses, and the integrity of the judicial proceedings.
Yeah, you see how good they make that shit? They make it sound official.
Oh, yeah,
When they put
sounds
they
scary.
put them big ass words in there, they make it sound official. And then that shit gets thrown the fuck out and they get left looking dumb. It's fucking crazy.
Right, so Thug responded with a tweet. He said, I don't make threats to people. I'm a good person. I would never condone anyone threatening anyone or definitely participate in threatening anyone. I'm all about peace and love. I don't know about this whole peace and love thing when it comes to Young Thug. He's not exactly J. Cole, but it is what it is. His lawyer, Brian Steele, stepped up. He said this motion is baseless. While intimidation and threats of violence are never appropriate, Jeffrey Williams has done nothing wrong. We look forward to seeking a dismissal of this petition. Now, Judge Reese Whitaker, who was the judge that basically allowed him to take that plea deal, she actually declined to revoke the probation. She ruled that social media posts did not violate the terms of his probation. She also said that the court declines to revoke defendant's probation based on the violation asserted. But she did say the Young Thug should exercise restraint regarding certain topics.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. I mean, it is what it is. Take your warning and leave it at that, What's done is already done.
I mean, when I saw that tweet, I was like, okay, you just beat a RICO. You're on a 15-year probation?
Yeah.
If there's ever a time to shut the hell up, it's probably now.
No, I could agree with that. I don't think you need to even be on social media. Maybe just have your manager say what you want to say and do it like that, But this should be a lesson learned that any little fucking thing, they're going to try to make an extravagant thing so they can put him away.
Look, when you're on probation, you got to be extra careful. I remember interviewing Joey Merlino, who was the rumored boss of the Philly Mafia.
Right.
And he would always go back to prison for just associating with other mafia guys.
Right.
Like he literally would go back for years for just hanging out with somebody. So a lot of times people don't take that seriously. I mean, didn't Young Thug's brother, Unfunk, go back because they caught him with a gun? And
yeah.
People always violate.
And I mean, this is the thing, too. When you get released from prison, it only takes a certain amount of time before you start to get comfortable. You know what I mean? And when you beat a case like he did, you would think for the next, hopefully, year or two, he's going to sit down and really not be involved in anything. But 10 years down the line, you're so fucking comfortable, you slip up and do something, and you forget, that probation was for 15. And now you're facing the full effect of what you were charged with 10 years down the line. So taking a 15-year probation plea is, he needs to just fuck social media, If you want to get something put out, just call me, and I'll handle that for you, Thug. You ain't got to do it yourself. Just call me. I got you.
I mean, yeah, when you're on probation, you're technically in jail.
Yeah.
Right? But you're just doing your sentence in the free world.
Yeah.
Meaning, you don't need a search warrant to search your house.
Right.
If your probation officer thinks that you might have some guns or drugs or you're associating with felons or gang members, she can just show up at your house.
Right.
Knock on the door, walk right in. If you don't want to open the door, she can call the police and the police will forcibly open the door for you. When you get pulled over, you don't need probable cause to search your car. Yep. If you're on probation, get out the car, we're searching it. Give me the keys. I don't care.
You're not even supposed to have any interactions with police. That in itself can cause an issue. So it's any little fucking thing can just be blown out of proportion. Your cell's going to get searched whenever they want to search it. It's the same shit. You're just essentially on a leash. So he has to really tighten down with the discipline when it comes to social media because they're not playing with him.
Well, speaking of Atlanta, young Scooter just died.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, I've interviewed him before. He's been on my show a couple of times. It's been a long time, probably about 10 years since he came on. But, cool rapper. I just interviewed DJ Swamp Izzo, who was his first DJ, who convinced him to rap because he was a street guy who just hated to rap.
Right.
He thought it was stupid, but he convinced him to rap. And then, on his first mixtape, Future was on it. And that was the first time Future actually said the name Future. He was Meathead before. So, he's an important part in the Atlanta music scene. And this situation, we've covered a lot of people dying, but this right here is just weird.
Yeah.
So the story is he was hanging out. It was his birthday. He was turning 39 that day. He was hanging out in these apartments. And this woman named Demetria Spence decided to do essentially a prank call and dox that apartment complex, saying like some woman is naked and being dragged out or something like that. So a bunch of police show up and Scooter starts to run. Now, this part here is a little weird. I've asked a few people this question. Why do you think someone like a young Scooter who has a real rap career, actually makes, show money and everything else like that, why does he run when the police show up?
Shit, I don't know. I mean, why not? It ain't illegal to run away if you ain't did nothing illegal. I don't want to be involved in that shit, Like, maybe he don't want the body cam because he don't want to talk to the police, whatever the fuck the reason is. Like, it could be just instinct. You see him, holla ass. But if you didn't do nothing, why can't you run? I don't want to be involved in that shit. And they grab me. I didn't do nothing. I don't got nothing. Leave me alone. I don't got nothing to do. Well, why'd you run away? Because why the fuck y'all hauling ass right over here? I don't want nothing to do with that. The fuck? I don't know.
Wait, so you're saying it's not illegal to run away from the police, even if they tell you to stop running?
I don't think it's illegal to run away from the police if you haven't done shit. What did I do? Now, if they say stop and all that, yeah, maybe that's like a fleeing and eluding if you don't stop after that. But if you just see them, it's like, bro, if you turn the corner and you see a bunch of cops and you just decide to turn the other way, like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not even going over there. You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Well, I actually looked it up while you were talking, and it says, in general, running from the police is a serious criminal offense, often referred to as evading arrest, and can lead to charges and penalties.
Okay, evading arrest, right? But you got to be wanting to arrest me. If you just want to talk to me and I don't want to talk to you, why the fuck can't I run off? I'm free to go. If there's no probable cause, I'm not being detained at any point. I can walk, run, sprint, skip, do whatever the fuck I want. So, if he didn't have anything on him, whatever, or maybe the people he was around had some shit. And if a gun gets tossed or whatever, everybody goes down unless somebody claims it. So the best thing to do is get away from the situation.
Yeah, I actually looked it up again. So unprovoked flight from the police could be considered one factor in determining reasonable suspicion to detain. So if you run away from the police, they could then detain you for running away from the police.
Okay.
See, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a little weird, the way it works out. Look, let's just say in the middle of this interview, someone tells you, yo, the police are outside, there's 3 cop cars. Would you run right now?
I mean, I'd probably not want to be involved with that shit because I'm going to start thinking the shit that I did in the past, and I'm going to ask if there's a back way out of the studio, like, I don't know. I don't want nothing to fucking do with that. I'm going to try to avoid that situation as best as I can because I know this for a fact. If I seen all 3 of their ass walk up to this door right here, my heart gonna drop. I haven't done shit right now. I don't got nothing on me right now, but I'm still gonna be like, what the fuck did I do? That's just instinct, bro. Like, I done been through that situation. I've never seen them and had a good experience. So it's like, you're not gonna see them and be like, oh yeah, they're just coming by to say hi.
Yeah, I guess if the police showed up to my studio right now, I would not run. I don't have nothing illegal on me. I don't have any warrants. Like, I'm not doing anything illegal. I think I'd rather hear what they have to say than run and have other repercussions from the running. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But Scooter did decide to run, and in the process of running, he, I guess, tried to hop the fence, and in the process, like really badly broke his leg and bled out and died.
So he cut an artery.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I went on Twitter and I said, yo, I've never heard of someone dying from jumping the fence. This sounds suspicious. And a bunch of people were like, yo, I'm a paramedic. This happens more often than you think. Like, if you something close to your femur, like, that's a huge artery. Like, you cut that and that's it. a couple of minutes later, you're dead.
Well, yeah,
So
people also think you don't die from leg shots and you got arteries in your thighs. So it just depends on what gets cut, you know. But it's really like a fucking freak accident. And I think what really got a lot of attention was the fact that everybody assumed he got shot by the police, and then apparently there's been a private autopsy where the private autopsy is saying he was shot, and I think Doug and Future try to confirm that. But the public autopsy that was done by Atlanta or wherever this was at, they said that he wasn't shot.
yeah, so Swamp Izzo was here the other day, right? And that's, like I said, super close to young Scooter, his mom, everything.
Right.
He showed up to the hospital, and he said that Scooter's mom told him he got shot. But then, and I'm like, oh, well, who told her? He said the doctor told her that he got shot, and she told Izzo, right? But then later on, they said, no, it was an accident from jumping the fence. And the official autopsy said it was an accident from the fence. There was no shooting. Young Thug, went on Twitter once again saying, oh, he got shot. Once again, stay off Twitter, Young Thug, right now. Seriously, this is not a good idea with you being on probation. I don't know, though. Like, how can you have an official autopsy and say it was an injury from a fence, but it was really a shooting? Like, your job is to do autopsies. It's not even a similar injury.
Right.
So what do you think really happened?
Well, I'll say this, right? When police shoot people, they shoot people a lot. It's usually not just one shot and it hits them in the leg and they stop shooting. So, I think if he was shot, it would have been multiple shots. And then maybe they just assumed wrong in the hospital. The wrong word got out first and then it was cleared up later. Because a gunshot, like you said, a gunshot and a slash are going to be two different types of wounds, two different types of characteristics. It's not going to be that hard to determine what it is. Well,
The woman who actually made the phone call, 31-year-old Demetria Spence, I guess she was on Baddies at one point. They found out who it was, and she was arrested. I guess she was granted bond, though, so she's out. When you look at something like this, like a false police 911 call that ultimately caused a death of somebody, would that be manslaughter? What would that be? Would that be anything?
Let me ask you, right? Is it a misdemeanor or a felony to create a false police report in the state of Georgia?
Let's look it up. In Georgia, making a false police report is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 1 year in jail or fine of up to $1,000 or both. Slap on the wrist.
So,
unless you get the year, you may get the full year in a situation like this.
Right, because you have certain laws such as felony murder. And felony murder is, let's say me and you go rob a bank, the cops shoot at us, they kill you. Because I survived and me and you committed the crime, I get charged with your murder because the actions we did resulted in death. Now for her, I don't necessarily see how it's manslaughter. I would think it would somehow more so fall under the lines of felony murder. I don't know if doxing would be a felony or whatever it is, but she called in a report of a serious crime, which resulted in death.
I looked it up. In Georgia, making a false 911 call that results in death or seriously bodily harm is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison and a fine of at least $50,000.
Okay.
Yeah, she might get 10 years over this.
I don't think she'll get the max if the max is 10.
I'm sorry?
I don't think she'll get the max if the max is 10.
Why would she not get the max if somebody died?
First time felony conviction.
Oh.
No criminal history. Baddies maybe got her enough to get a decent lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, doesn't help, young Scooter's family.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna be rooting for her ass though. I know that. Nobody gives a fuck about her now, but I don't think she's gonna get the max, but it's fucking ridiculous what actually happened. And the fact that she caused that. I'm not gonna blame it on him running or nothing like that. Nah, you created that situation.
Oh yeah, I mean she's probably gonna get beat up in jail too. I mean, there's probably some young Scooter fans in Cook County or wherever she is. You know.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be worse than that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, rest in peace, young Scooter, man. Georgia rap legend. It's sad to be in a situation like that. But I think it's also a lesson where, look, like, if you really didn't do anything, running from the police is usually not the greatest of ideas.
Right.
Well, let's get to the big story. 50 Cent made an Instagram post about a video you were doing that was supposed to expose the whole Big Meech paperwork situation.
Right.
Number one, how did 50 Cent even find out about this?
About me or about the situation?
Well, about you doing this video.
So as things were coming out and information was coming out, I was gathering up all the paperwork and I reached out to Tony Yayo. So more or less, because I actually bumped into Tony Yayo at a hotel in Brooklyn. I think he told you the story one time in an interview. So that's how we got cool. So I basically DM'd him. I was like, man, send this to 50. And I don't even think Tony Yayo responded. I didn't really look twice at it, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's on 50's page. I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? And that's how it happened.
Okay. So what exactly was the outcome of that video at the very end?
There isn't any definite paperwork that flat out says Meech ratted. So whatever you want to take from what's presented, it shows that, you know, the big witness, the female that everyone knows, she told Meech, hey, this is the situation. This is what's been going on. And instead of him saying, get the fuck away from me, don't speak to me, don't this, don't that, Meech told her, keep my name out of it. So if you're aware of what she's doing and she continues to do what she's doing and it's clarified in the paperwork, she's doing what she's doing for your benefit, everyone can pretty much assume it's for your behalf, right? You're cooperating. They ran through the whole fucking thing. She didn't need money. She wasn't a drug addict. She wasn't facing charges. The fucking whoever it was, the FBI, whatever, the agents, they were like, we are actually surprised she's willing to do this shit. Because there's no purpose. And the only thing she asked for in return, she was like, if I get something big, the agent cut her off and said, you'll get a lot of money. And she said, instead of that, can I get Big Meech a time cut? So if Meech knows about it, she's doing the shit for him. It's basically just, you know, there's no definite paper saying he did rat. It's just you're going to take from it what you want to take from it. I got into a back and forth with 42 Doug about the situation. He wanted to DM me and talk about it. And I just basically told him, like, look, bro, you're going to, if you weren't from Detroit, you might look at things in a different manner. But you're from there, and not only that, you don't want it to be true. So it's never going to make sense to you. And whoever doesn't like Meech, they got enough ammo to present why they don't like him and why they feel it is true. So it is what it is.
Okay, so the whole thing of leave my name out of it, where was the proof that he said that?
It was in the paperwork.
So that's her saying that to an agent?
I believe it was her saying that when she actually did meet with him, because she knew she was about to be exposed in the courts, and she tried to visit him in the prison he was in, and then they eventually ended up either speaking or meeting in person, and that's when she filled him in that she was about to be exposed. And it wasn't until that point, because she was saying shit that went against Meech too. She was saying that he's the one that put Cuffy with the other guy and linked everything together. And as soon as it came out that she was about to be exposed, she started recanting all of these statements. So it's like everything that could have been used against Meech, now she's saying it's a lie. And it made her no longer a credible witness. So anything that could have been used against him, you're saying it ain't true. He wants his name kept out of it, and this is what we're left with.
Yeah, I remember I interviewed Tanisa Welch, who was considered the first lady of BMF. Her and Southwest T were a couple for a long time, and she got caught up in this whole thing. And I remember one of the big clips from that was Big Meech sold his life rights to a piece of shit informant. And that part was always a little weird because it's like, okay, you have your life rights. You know there's interest in the whole BMF story. You don't give them to your son. You don't give them to your kid's mother. You don't give them to your mother or father. You give them to a third party who is an informant.
Right.
So what is the logic behind that? Now, look, you could sit back and say, well, Tanisa went and got the BMF TV show put together and whatever else. So I guess if you look at it that way, it was a good move. But now you got to deal with the questions about it. So it's a little weird, man. It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's that, and there was a lot of Meech had called out. What was the rapper's name? Blue Da Vinci.
Blue Da Vinci, yeah.
Right. So there was a public thing with that, with Meech making accusations, and then Meech trying to clear the accusations, but he never publicly said anything about Tammy Cohen's. You know, so it's like if she was all this and you're so against it, why not ever address the elephant in the room? And I think that's why a lot of people look at him differently. That and the fact that he's doing Instagram promos for money and shit, which is crazy because nobody would have expected that from a fucking drug lord, you know?
Well, it's a drug lord who's no longer a drug lord.
Yeah, he came home thinking he still was because he thought Lil Baby owed him and shit and was supposed to break him off and fucking all types of shit.
Yeah, Tony Yayo said that in our interview.
Yeah.
Where basically, like, I think Lil Meech was like, yeah, Lil Baby was here, pulled up in the Lambo truck, he didn't give us nothing. And it's like, and that's what Yayo kind of exposed is that Lil Meech had like 10 pairs of chrome heart jeans. They're like $10,000 a piece. Like, it's almost become the running joke now, like the $10,000 jean joke. I had no idea. Like, I've always kind of heard of chrome heart. I'm not a big fan. I don't own anything chrome heart. I think it's just, the prices are just ridiculous. But to have that many pairs of pants, and you can go through his Instagram and see all the different pairs, and it's like, yo, like how much, he blew through like $5 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, to tell 50, remember that text message that surfaced? It's like, yeah, we don't fuck with Ross, but he's giving my dad some money to hold him over until that next season check comes. And it's like, yo, did you really burn through all that money on jewelry and clothes?
Yeah, trying to hang out with the rappers and the fucking athletes and trying to keep up with them.
Yeah, no, we talked about this. Like, he was hanging out in Atlanta with Gunna and all them. Like, Gunna, he's making a lot of money every day. Like, the stream money's coming in. He's probably getting $100,000 a show. He's getting feature money. He's doing this, doing that. Like, you're an actor whose only show is BMF.
Right.
It's not like you have this huge Michael B. Jordan career. Then it's like, all right, whatever. Like, I get it, So go ahead and splurge. You got Black Panther 3 coming out. It doesn't matter. But, like, you have one TV show, and the only reason you got that show is because you look like your dad.
Yeah. And
That's
50,
it.
And 50 put you in that position.
Yeah.
Paid for the acting classes, all that. Man, I wish I could have. 50 was just in Tampa. I tried to pull up and meet him. They wouldn't let me in the fucking event. Because it was like some bottle signing shit. I didn't know that. You had to pay the fucking whatever. So I didn't even get to run into him. But it's like, man, let me get some acting classes. Like, fuck that. Put me on that shit. So I don't know, bro. I feel like loyalty, it should have went the other way, but that's how it played out.
Well, yeah, I interviewed Boosie, and I brought up the situation, and he was like, if I was Lil Meech, I'd be like, fuck 50. I'm rocking with my dad. I wouldn't have been all this like, yo, let me try to explain it to you, whatever else. And 50 actually responded to this video on his Instagram, and he said, I did more for Mimi than anyone in his life, Boosie. That's why he responded like that. If he got locked up, I'm the person he called. Bailed him out every time. When I see him laughing at his pop post, I said, oh shit, he a snake too. He belonged with him.
That shit's crazy.
Yeah, so now like Big Meech is hooking up with like a bunch of rivals and, and Floyd Mayweather, and they're just doing all this, but it's like, really, if you look at that family's only income comes from 50 Cent.
Right.
Right?
They're just looking for a new table to eat at.
Yeah, man. The problem is that I feel it, man. Like, being in your 20s and getting money for the first time, you think it's never going to end. You think, oh, I'll just get another acting gig. I'll just do more club walkthroughs, whatever else. You feel like it's just going to keep going. But I really felt like Lil Meech was trying to live up to his dad's persona. But your dad was a drug lord who was selling illegal substances that are highly addictive. He's not paying taxes.
No.
He's not paying taxes, so half of that, you're losing. And you're dealing with an operation where, as long as you don't get caught, there's unlimited growth potential. The more cocaine you get, the more you could sell.
And that's the thing,
right?
Is, how those actors, they stop believing in the role that they're playing. So he's getting money, pretending to be his dad on TV, and thought he was him until that fucking bank account hit zero. So it's like,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost what people accuse Tupac of. Once he did Juice, people felt like, he became Bishop. And he just started acting like Bishop all the time.
Started acting gangster. But shout out to 50, though. That post was everything. 'Cause that's one of the first rappers since I was a kid. Bro, I played 50's game, the video game. Running around dual wheeled and mowing shit down. You know what I mean? So to have him shout me out, I thought that was fire.
Well, I don't know if you caught this or not, but me and the wrestler Booker T have been going at it recently.
Nah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you know about Booker T?
A little bit, not too much.
Okay, so what had happened was, here's the whole backstory. I did an interview with this other wrestler named Swerve Strickland, right? Swerve used to be the champion of AEW, which is the big competitor to WWE, right? And he used to be at WWE, so we talked about, his experiences there. He said, yeah, I didn't really like it. I thought it was somewhat racist and so forth. And, ultimately I found a better home with AEW. And I said, okay, well, Booker T had made a statement about, some of the things you said about WWE, because Booker T was like a Hall of Fame guy at WWE. And he basically says something like, yeah, I didn't experience any racism over there. And I just think that Swerve Strickland just, was blaming other people for his mistakes and so forth. So Swerve said, well, if it's not racist over there, then why did Booker T let Vince McMahon use the N-word around him in one of the promos? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I seen it on Instagram.
Yeah, with John Cena, right? But Booker T was right there, and they zoom into his face. So Booker T apparently confronts Swerve at some event, and I guess was mad that he did the interview, even though everything in the interview was the actual truth and words that actually Booker said. And he does this whole video saying Swerve got played, going on Vlad TV. I would never do Vlad TV. He offered me money and I turned it down. Vlad TV gets black men arrested, and I would never do that show. So I said, okay, all right, let's bring some reality to the situation. Booker T was booked to do Vlad TV. So I posted the DMs. He's like, oh, I would love to do it. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, where do you want to do it? Blah, blah, blah. The interview was booked. He showed up to the interview, but I ran late. He stormed out upset because I was late, which is understandable. I get that. And after the fact, I try to make it right. I'm like, I'm really sorry. I could pay you an appearance fee to make up for your time wasted. And he was like, no, I don't want to do it. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But this whole thing of I would never do Vlad TV, and because he gets men locked up or whatever else, I'm like, this is bullshit. You were at Vlad TV.
Right, you already set to do it.
You were sitting down, ready to do an interview. Tell that part of the story. And I said, well, let's go ahead and crank it up. If you want to start, accusing me of stuff, let's go ahead and see what you're about. So I posted a picture of him and this guy named Chasen Rance, who is this former wrestler who's a registered sex offender.
Oh, shit.
He is a registered sex offender for sexually assaulting a underage minor aged 12 to 15. But he still has his own gym, and I guess he was booking Booker T to go train at that gym multiple times. So I said,
while
yeah.
he was already
a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. I said, when Booker T isn't lying about not wanting to do interviews with me, he's hanging out with his sex offender friend, chasing rants. Here's the greatest part of this whole story. One day after I posted that picture and it started to go viral and then, and so forth, Chasen Rants has been arrested for violating the terms of his registered sex offender conditions. And he's now in jail.
Damn.
So I responded. I said, look, I guess Booker T is right. I do get people arrested, like his sex offender friend who's in jail right now. Good riddance.
And he hasn't said nothing about that?
He had done a post, because this is like becoming news, because Booker T is like a big wrestler.
name.
He said, so I basically, he said something like, I've done hundreds of training sessions at various gyms. I don't do background checks on people that I do these training sessions with or who I take photos with. My reputation speaks for itself. I have nothing to do with this. But then, and I'm going to post this probably later today, people start pointing out that I think like a few years ago, his company said that we are no longer working with this guy and his organization. But they deleted those tweets when all this started coming out. So he knew about it.
Yeah.
He just wanted the check.
Right.
But yeah, so now you can say that I get people locked up. I get sex offenders locked up. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Fuck them.
Oh, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm perfectly fine with getting registered sex offenders locked up.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm cool with that.
I can live with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Put that on my notch. Well, Big U and the whole Rolling 60s Rico situation.
Debo.
Yeah, well, something else funny is we had posted this. We had interviewed Debo from Friday, and he said that he based his character on Big U.
Yeah.
I told you I pulled that from Big U. I used him as my background of how I wanted this character to be perceived. Because the whole thing about how bad this guy was is when Ice Cube pulled the gun on him. He said, "What you gonna do with that?" Besides, make me mad. That was cold-blooded. That was it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen the clip of Big U saying that same thing too.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's a true story. And look, I just want to say this before we start. I've always been cool with Big U. I have not had one negative experience with Big U. He came in, did an interview. It was a dope-ass interview. We kept in contact. He would call me every so often. I would call him every so often. We would have cool conversations. There was never any checking in.
He didn't make you do the interview? He didn't say, hey, Vlad, you're going to put me on there?
No, I wanted to do the interview.
Don't let a new piece of paperwork come out saying that Vlad TV had you in the back like this here.
Why would I not want to do that interview? Like,
man, they said he's stepping on everything over there. Everything. The rappers, the athletes, fucking everybody over there apparently is up under Big U. And you know what's crazy? Is it wasn't that long ago, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, Big U, when I was living in Boston, he was visiting because he was speaking at Harvard.
Wow.
One of the most prestigious universities, and this is in Cambridge, it's right across the street from Boston. And Big U was speaking at Harvard. And I think he was the one that had the stories about when he was in prison and he went at it with like 80 of the Mexicans and was just smashing them left and right and this and that. And I was like, how the fuck did he get to Harvard? And he's just, against the gangs and everything's all this. And then this whole shit comes out and I'm like, damn, this is fucking crazy.
Look, I'll say this on the record publicly. Big U has never extorted me on any level. And he could have been like, yeah, you're in LA now, you're doing, business with with Crips and Rolling 60s or whatever, I'm going to need a little something off this, or you're going to need to put on my artist or whatever else. None of that ever. At all. At all. Really just positive experiences with him the entire time.
Did you see the clip of him and Chris Brown?
Nah.
Big U sitting next to Chris Brown. He's like, yeah, you know, he just donated 500 sneakers to the kids in the community, and he's about to donate another 500. And Chris is just like, like, so people putting the caption like he didn't even know he was about to donate another 500. It's just, bro, that whole case, you know, what pissed me off about it too was everybody was trying to act like this was a product of Adam 22 getting people locked up, and that No Jumper was the cause of the Rolling 60s indictment, when in all actuality, it's people committing crimes and then people talking about the crimes that they're committing. And for a while, you know, Brick Baby, me and him have had a cool, you know, we've communicated throughout the years, and I just always thought he said a lot and implicated himself in a lot of things that put him in a position where, yeah, people are gonna watch you, you know? Like, there was a lot of rumors of him having to do something with the Dirk situation and Lil Pab's death, and people speaking on that, and he would make jokes, and he would this, and he would that, and then when it came to the 60s, Loose Cannon, him and Loose went at it, and he's like, oh, who put you on? What street was it? Name 5 people. And it's like, bro, like, you're saying, name the 5 people that made you a Rolling 60s Crip gang member on a fucking podcast with however many millions of viewers, and we're gonna act like this ain't some shit that the feds aren't gonna listen to.
Yeah, I mean, Brick Baby was my man. He had done, like, I think 3 interviews on Vlad TV. He was actually our newest regular guest on Vlad TV.
Yeah.
And once again, only positive interactions with him. In fact, I ran into him at the Beverly Center Mall like 3 days before he got arrested.
Right.
Just randomly. I'm like, oh, shit, what's up? You know, we hug. I'm like, you good? Hey, I'll get you back on the show. Yeah, of course. Like, you could tell, like, he had no idea what was about to happen.
Yeah, and
You know,
I mean,
in retrospect, when you think about it, it's like, damn, like, you're just living your life. You're at the mall. You got your family with you. And then next thing you know, you're in jail.
yeah, Brick became one of the top hosts at No Jumper. And then I remember recently there was a post, he got his daughter, I think it was her 16th birthday or 18th, he got her a car or something or whatever. And, you know, but there's just been a lot of situations when he's walked the line of saying too much, and shit just came and bit him in the ass. And then Loose Cannon, that motherfucker just says whatever the fuck he wants to.
Yeah, I've always avoided Loose Cannon. Loose Cannon has been wanting to be on my show. He's DM'd me multiple times. People that we know in common have reached out, say, hey, Loose Cannon wants to talk to you. And I'm like, too much drama. Especially after seeing that brawl, you know, in the No Jumper parking lot. I was like, oh, hell no, I don't want this guy around.
No, it's not good for the business. And at the same time, it's like, bro, literally, if you read the federal paperwork, all of the counts in the indictment is shit that he was saying he participated in or Big U did while on No Jumper. So it's like you're describing robbing Meek Mills, and you're describing Big U was doing this and just crazy shit.
Right, but I was always under the impression that not everything, but for certain things, Loose Cannon was just lying. So, you know, Meek Mill said, I've never been kidnapped. Now, people, oh, he's lying because he got kidnapped. No, it kind of seems sincere. It's like, yo, I've never been kidnapped. And if you really think about it, someone who's as big as Meek Mill and all they want is 50,000 seems like you can get a little more from Meek Mill if you're really kidnapping this guy. I'm just saying. You might be able to get 500,000 from a Meek Mill kidnapping.
Well, it would be insane to think that dude created up a whole bunch of bullshit stories and then got indicted over it.
Right. You know, because the problem I always had with Loose was that when he went on No Jumper and he said, oh, Big U backdoor Nipsey Hussle. Like, he knew that Nipsey was going to get killed by Eric Holder, and he let it happen. And I'm like, yo, this is just stupid. And I remember I called you. Like, I called Big U that day. I said, yo, I'm sorry you're going through this. Like, that was our conversation. If that conversation was being taped by the feds, I'm saying what I'm talking about right now on camera.
And he apparently sent a cease and desist to No Jumper and Loose Cannon. And that was the reason the feds went to Adam 22's house, was they wanted to cease and desist to him, or whatever evidence, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Loose Cannon, like I said, he also said that him and Big U were at the Roscoe's when PNB Rock got killed. It's like, really? Like this? I mean, there's actual video footage of the incident. You don't see them in there. Like, I've never heard of this before until he said it. So I think a lot of the stuff was just, lies to get, moments to go viral with.
Right.
But now he's in jail, and I don't know, like I'd heard
he's real viral now.
Yeah, he's going viral now. I mean, I heard some of the stuff is like, but I guess I haven't read through the paperwork carefully, but they're saying that some of the stuff he talked about in podcasts actually happened, and he's actually describing actual criminal events in conversations. But Big U has a 43-count indictment. So he's charged with RICO, 2 counts of conspiracy to interfere with commerce by robbery and extortion, the Hobbs Act, 1 count of Hobbs Act robbery, 9 counts of attempted Hobbs Act extortion, 5 counts of Hobbs Act extortion, 1 count of transportation of an individual in interstate commerce with the intent that the individual engage in prostitution, the Mann Act, 15 counts of wire fraud, 5 counts of embezzlement, conversion and intentional misapplication of funds from an organization receiving federal funds, 1 count of bank fraud, 1 count of tax evasion, 2 counts of willful failure to file a tax return. And then there's all the other people that are being charged. And Loose Cannon and Brick Baby are 2 of them, but there's looks like maybe about 8 other people as well. If convicted, he's facing a statutory maximum of 20 years in prison just for the racketeering conspiracy count. The bank fraud is another 30 years. So you count it all up, and he's looking at life in prison, especially I think he's in his 50s at this point.
Yeah. I mean, they got him tied into a murder where allegedly his DNA was found under the dude's skin.
No. Let's clear that up, because if you watch the podcast where it was like me, Adam, Academics, Traplo Ross, Whack 100, and Remo, they went into this whole situation. Now, there was DNA that was found that was inconclusive, but it was inconclusive for Big U, but it ruled out the other person, the driver. They're saying it's definitely not the driver, but it's inconclusive for Big U. People are putting out, Big U's DNA under the fingernails. Inconclusive. You go to trial, you tell the jury, inconclusive, they're not going to, that's reasonable doubt.
Is he charged with that murder?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hold on a second. R.W. Yeah, so Big U's also accused of the 2021 murder of aspiring music artist R.W. R.W. signed to Unique Music, Big U's music label. Big U allegedly shot and killed R.W., who had recorded a defamatory song about him. Big U then dragged the victim's body off Interstate 15 in Las Vegas and left it in a ditch, according to the paperwork. So I guess this guy was a rapper that Big U had signed, had done a diss record at the studio Big U had booked for him. I guess this was Marley Marl studio in Las Vegas. And I guess what they're saying is once Big U found out about it, he showed up and he killed him. I hope that's not true. I mean, to kill someone over a diss song is insane.
Yeah.
Especially when you're someone as, at the age of a Big U and as established as he is, and,
You would think that he would have somebody that he could have do that for him instead of him doing that himself. But you can't put nothing past nobody. So at the end of the day, bro, you can be like he's in his 50s, but if you go to the feds, all the gang leaders are in their 50s and 60s. All the biggest names are that old.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that write the tickets, and then the ticket gets booked, and the little young hitter goes and gets you. So it's like that's the age of the guys that are running the prison system.
I mean, do you think, though, at this point in 2025, you would realize that if you send someone to go do something, that's a ticket for them to snitch and send you to prison afterwards, that you're kind of better off doing it yourself?
I mean, I guess not. Look at the Yella Beezy situation. You got somebody that's clearly not all the way there, And a video just came out that, you know, he's basically standing on it. Like, yeah, so what? It is what it is.
All right, let's talk about that. So, Mo 3 was killed a few years back, and I'd interviewed Mo 3. I also interviewed Yella Beezy. I was cool with both of them. In fact, I was trying to get them to work it out. Unsuccessfully, of course. But I remember even telling Mo 3 he should move out of Dallas. And he goes, nah, man, I'm good. Ain't no one chasing me down. Someone literally chased him down and killed him. So, the murderer was arrested, sent to prison, but then recently, I guess he started cooperating and saying that Yella Beezy actually put out a hit. And I guess Beezy had taken out like $40,000 or something, like out of his bank account right around that time. And now Yella Beezy's charged with capital murder. And I didn't know what that meant, but that means that's murder with the death penalty.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Texas here. They throw that around like it's nothing.
Yeah, and they execute quick, too. Florida, it takes like 20 years for the execution to actually happen. Texas gets shit done.
Yeah. So there was a $2 million bond. It was lowered to $750,000. And I guess Beezy is bonded out, and he's seeing what's going to happen. Now, like you said, the alleged murderer made a video in prison. I guess he did an interview in prison. And it wasn't over a jail phone, so it was like he basically got a legal phone to do an interview.
Yeah, he's in the I believe the feds right now. Cuz he got convicted on a gun. But yeah, he's basically, I mean, bro, you got to understand, like, this is somebody that openly had a transgender girlfriend and was still trying to maintain a rap career, which is something you don't hear about. And then after, you look surprised.
Wait, who had the transgender girlfriend?
The guy that killed Mo 3.
Okay.
He's in pictures with her, and I got a whole video breaking down that he allegedly shot at her and everything. Or him, or whatever the fuck you want to call that. That situation is crazy. So the guy you're dealing with, and you know, the picture came out of Yella Beezy with the shooter, and then with the other guy that they're all associated with. After the murder of Mo 3, the shooter does a music video, and he's got Yella Beezy's boy in the video. And he's talking about, oh yeah, you know, basically saying, if you pay me, I'll do the hit. And this was after the Mo 3 murder. So it's like you're dealing with somebody that clearly doesn't give a fuck about anything. He seems off. And then why would you be surprised that this person turns against you?
So it's almost like a Lil Woody situation.
I think this guy's worse than Lil Woody, to be honest. Lil Woody, I mean, I don't know. Lil Woody was just seen with fucking fake lashes on at a 20v1, so...
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Lil Woody with fake lashes?
Yes, Google it.
I'm about to.
Man had lashes on. So I don't know what the fuck going on, bro. All these hitmen are kind of crazy, but...
Wait a minute. Lil Woody sports eyelashes and a lace front. Well, look, man. Lil Woody, I interviewed him. He's mad. He's currently mad at me. We had a conversation, I don't know, about a couple months ago. You know... Once he told me that he ended up having this really bad accident as a kid and he was in a coma for months, and when he woke up, he didn't remember like anything, and he had to learn how to walk and talk, and he was put in special needs classes. I'm like, all right, this is a guy who has actual brain damage and is not all the way there.
Bro, none of these people are all the way there. That's the thing that people fail to realize is when you go to prison, you're inside of a prison full of people that aren't all the way there. These are all the kids that were in the fucking slow class. These are all the kids that just couldn't get it together. They're eating their fucking pencils and stabbing each other and shit. Like, this is them. And this is them when you give them chains and guns. They go and kill your favorite rapper, and then they snitch on it after, and they don't give a fuck because they never gave a fuck. They never had a fuck to give. So it's like, I don't know, bro. If you're going to be smart enough to fucking make it successfully, you would think that you would at least find somebody that isn't one of these people to go do your dirt. But that's the definition of a crash dummy. You know, you send a little stupid motherfucker to go do something. And it ends up with you getting fucking snitched on, facing capital murder. Shit's crazy.
Yeah, okay, that sounds smart. Let me give a retard $40,000 to go do something that could put me on death row. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, well, let me do that, and like it's 40,000, right? Like that probably got spent. I mean, if he actually paid him, that probably got spent in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but that slow motherfucker probably thought he just signed a record deal when he got that 40,000. So that's the thing, is like you making them think whatever, and they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, the hitman was his name is Kevon White.
Yeah.
Well, look, Beezy has money. He actually has platinum records. He's gonna get the best lawyers. He'll put every dollar he has into the lawyers.
He has to.
So I could see him spending $1 million on lawyers. So he's gonna get a great defense. And if the main witness is this retard here, I mean, like, I don't know if this is gonna stick. I'm hoping it doesn't.
And I think the definition of what he was charged with doesn't even mean that the shooter got paid. It's just saying like the intent of taking out that money was to pay him. So if the money never swapped hands either, that's going to be another major thing in Yella Beezy's defense.
Also, when you think about people at this level, taking out 40,000 is not all that uncommon.
Especially not if
Seriously.
you're a rapper. Like, no, that's
If you're a rapper,
strip club money.
I've taken out, I'm going to go buy a watch. I'm going to take out 40,000. Oh, I'm going to go hit the strip club. Let me take out 10,000. Oh, I got a little side chick. I'm going to give her some money, and next thing you know, a week later, that 40,000 is gone and you got to go to the bank again. Like 40,000. Now, if all you have is 50,000, you took out 40, then that looks suspicious. But he probably has a few $100,000 in that bank account,
Right.
So I think it's a stretch. I personally think it's a stretch. I think he's going to beat it.
Yeah, I mean, it don't even really matter if he did it or didn't do it. It's just a matter if they can prove it. And if all they have is this guy's word against his, there's a good chance he can beat that shit.
Now, unfortunately, Yella Beezy, they try to connect him to the guy who killed G Money Lil Ronnie and his daughter, which I thought, like, that was really the worst story I heard all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated that story. To find out that a little 5-year-old girl, and I've got a daughter, so it's like thinking that losing my daughter at 5 years old, like, it's just, I'm almost like, I feel like I want to cry right now just thinking about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even wanted to survive that, I think that pain would have been worse if Ronnie actually lived to find his daughter had died. And yeah, that's a fucking tough one, bro, because I don't think they knew she was in the car, but that's what happens when you decide to kill people. You're going to end up killing the wrong people.
Yeah, you did a whole video around this. So I guess 2 suspects were arrested for the murder of 24-year-old Adonis Robinson, who is a convicted sex offender.
Yeah.
Kind of like Booker T's buddy.
Just had to throw that in there.
I had to throw that in. And 21-year-old Jacoby Russell,
Yeah.
who had prior convictions for unlawful carrying a weapon, assault of a pregnant person. Okay, well, he beat up his baby mother while she was pregnant?
Yeah, one beat up his baby mother while she was pregnant. The other one decided to chase down, I think, a 55-year-old woman that was jogging through a park and pull her pants down.
What the hell?
Yeah, so, again, neither one of them should have been fucking free because the other kid that beat his BM also had shot somebody, like, within a year of all this happening. But, this is what happens when people fight to change laws and let people out of jail because they say it's racist or they can't afford it. And, the wrong people end up getting out and then end up killing a 5-year-old fucking girl. When in all actuality, he should have been gone because of the rape and the other one should have been gone for already shooting somebody.
Yeah, so basically a bunch of short bus riders, once again.
Yeah, all of these people are fucking slow, bro. Like, all of them. None of them are fucking... Like, none of these guys have any, like, mob quality where they're cool, calm, collect. No, they're all retarded looking and fucking dumbass tattoos and have a whole retarded ass history of doing stupid shit. So
Well, yeah, both of them got caught, and they're both facing capital murder. So
Yeah.
once again, the death penalty for both of them. And I hate when people are like, yo, free them. Nah, fuck it, keep them and put them to death.
yeah, I can't
Seriously.
think of anybody that's saying free them. That's crazy, you know? I think it's going to end with them taking a plea deal for a life sentence because that's usually how that goes. But if they got sentenced to death, I wouldn't be fucking opposed to it.
Do you think that you can get a plea deal around the death penalty for a planned murder that resulted in a 5-year-old girl getting killed? If I was the DA, I would not offer that plea deal. No. You don't get that plea deal. You're going to have to take it to trial.
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm just thinking, I agree with you. You know, like, I know that that's normally how shit plays out. Yeah, you take life with no possibility of parole, and we'll do that instead of execute you. Or they'll get sentenced to death, and then in 15 years, their appeal will re-sentence them to a life sentence. I've met people in prison like that were convicted to die and then re-sentenced to life to where they can't get out. But, yeah, bro, you plan to kill somebody, you do it, and you kill a 5-year-old girl in the process, there's no sympathy for you. It ain't for you, it's fuck you. So,
Yeah. I mean, if you look at your history in prison, have you had people around you, in the same prison system that have killed little kids, like on accident and stuff like that?
not that I knew of.
Okay. How do you think someone like that will be treated in a Texas prison?
If people find out about it,
Well, I mean, everyone knows about it. It's public, it's
I'm
all
gonna
over the
I'm gonna
news.
be honest with you, and people might not like this, but it also depends on the race. Because the racial politics of where you're at is gonna make a difference. And you might be a part of a race of people that they don't really give a fuck. Oh, you killed someone, it's a casualty of war. And then you might be a part of another group that has a different set of morals, and they're gonna kill you for it. So it just depends on where you're at. You go south of the border in Mexico, there's a lot of trafficking of little girls. So they don't really give a fuck about what happens to little girls. They're the ones fucking doing the shit. Not to say that every Mexican person in the U.S. prison system is on that type of time, because California is very strict with shit like that. The federal system, though, is made up of a lot of, like when people cross the border and all those type of guys, they all end up going to the feds. So it's really just going to depend on the structure of Texas, the prison system in Texas, and then obviously the morals of whoever he's around. Because it's normally not just going to be some white guy's going to stab him or some shit. Nah, it's going to be your own people that end up doing it to you.
Well, Yella Beezy had a picture with, I guess, one of the killers of G Money and his 5-year-old daughter. And he actually responded, and he said, "Don't attach my name, no fuck shit, period. I take 1,000,000 pictures every day with people I don't know. That's part of my job. It's hella dumb to use a pic with me in a situation. This is the dumbest shit in the world. Don't play with my image like that, especially to do with kids. Straight up, R.I.P. Chucky and baby girl." So, I mean, but that makes sense. Like,
Well, does it
I'm
though?
walking down the street.
Does it?
Well-
because it sounds like Booker T. I go to all type of gyms. I don't know who the fuck did what. I take all type of pictures. I don't know who did what.
Nah. Booker T was actually booked to train at that gym. He was paid to be there.
Right, and Yella
That's
Beezy.
a whole lot different
Yella
than
Beezy
being...
has been in a few pictures and videos with killers and people charged with murder. So it's like,
Listen, I think this whole thing is so stupid. And, when I talked to both Beezy and Mo3 about this, I was trying to explain to them how stupid this is, that both of y'all are successful. You guys are making legal rap money. You guys have fans. You guys could tour. You guys could move out of Dallas. You guys could go get a house, get a mansion in Atlanta if you want. Go to Miami, go to LA. Like, seriously, like, this is... Y'all sticking around Dallas, running into each other, shootouts, beefs, hits, like, all this type of dumb shit that just doesn't, Like people, like I like to say, act your wage. Like this is an example of not acting your wage.
Right.
You're a
And then
millionaire.
once you move out of that area too, your whole life expectancy just shot up.
I know, right?
The second you leave that area, bro, you're like guaranteed to live an extra 30 years, like off top. So I don't know. I don't know, bro. People just have a different mentality and they like to keep shit going, and then they put it in their music and everything just fuels. It's all like one big functioning machine. Social media fuels the beef, the music fuels the beef, the shootings make people want to listen to the music because they feel like it's more authentic, and then death happens and everyone's like, wait, what the fuck? It went too far.
Yeah, look, I was on DJ Academic's show yesterday, and we were talking about the new Lil Durk album, right? And I'm like, I like the album, right? I know me and, Durk had problems with me, whatever else, but I'm like, I like the album. I thought it was a good album. He's like, no, it was a cool album, but it didn't have that edge that we were all waiting for from Durk, where he's like dissing his ops and he's like putting all this stuff in there and code, and he calls it indictment music, essentially, right? And if have you heard of the new Lil Durk album?
No.
Okay, so, I mean, look, I'm a Lil Durk fan, so I listened to it. It was a cool album, and there were certain words that were taken out of certain songs. You could tell, like his legal department went through and was like, okay, take this out, take this out, take this out. The part that kind of made me jump a little bit when I heard it, there's a song called Monitoring Me, where there's a line that said, I don't even got to pay a N-word to do nothing. I got killers, all my friends. And I'm like, yo, why is this on the album? And I guess academics, told me that song had already been released before. So at that point, this was probably before, it is before he got arrested.
Right.
So at that point, it's like, well, whatever. It's already out there. Let's just put it on because it's not like we can hide the song. But I guess just putting it on and having more emphasis, like when I heard that, I'm like, you are literally in jail right now for what you just said in this song.
Right.
For what you just said in this song.
But that's the thing, though, is there's two types of people. There's the me and yous who look at it like that's dumb as fuck because everything you just said, you literally spelled it out in the music. And then there's the other group of people that are like, oh, we want to listen to it more because when he says he's with killers, he's really with killers. So it's like that's, people like the authenticity even though it's nothing but destruction.
Yeah, look, academics, he knows my background with Durk. Like, I don't know if I talked about this with you, but me and Durk were hella cool. We did a bunch of interviews. We hung out a little bit. Like, he would hit me up, to get, stories on Vlad TV and so forth. Me and his brother, D-Thing, were cool. Everything, right? And then we did an interview, and he had mentioned that, his girl's having a baby, and he asked me to take it out. I told my staff to take it out. They ended up messing up and not taking it out. So he was mad at me over not taking it out. I tried to reach out to him and say, yo, it really was an accident. Like, I wouldn't do this on purpose. Like, Vlad TV is not known for breaking baby stories. We have a 95% male audience. My audience doesn't give a shit if you're having a baby or not.
Right.
And it's definitely not something I would wreck a relationship over. But he was just mad at me. So I think on a couple of his albums, he said like, fuck Vlad or some shit like that. Whatever. I don't really give a shit. But, academics asked me, do I think that Durk is going to beat this case? And I said, it completely depends on his co-defendants. If they testify against him, he's cooked.
Yeah.
If everyone stays quiet, he'll be good, but it's a little hard for the actual shooters that have been caught, that are confirmed that they're the shooters, to just say, yeah, I'll do life in prison. Like, okay, no problem.
I think the question shouldn't be, will he beat it? I think the question should be, will he survive it?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't necessarily think you're just beating a Fed case like that. I think there's going to be a difference where, 5 years, yeah, you'll survive that. 10 years, you'll survive that. A fucking 80-year sentence plus life, you're not making it, So I think the question should really be, will he survive the case instead of will he beat the case? Because what history is there of people beating a case like this and just flat out beating it? I don't know anybody. It's a sad thing to fucking think about, but this ain't a state case, and this is people flew to another state to murder somebody. There's a lot of shit involved in this.
Well, yeah, because this is a completely premeditated situation. At any point, he could have been like, "Nah, I'm good." You know, if he actually did order this hit, he could have been like, "Nah, never mind. Just enjoy LA. We're not doing none of this shit."
Yeah.
You know, go ahead. I'll pay for your hotel rooms. I'll rent you guys some cars, whatever. Just hang out. We'll go back to Chicago.
And I mean, I'll be honest. I think that's also why you're important. Your circle is important because, like, you know, somebody can make a video on me, right? And I get pissed off. I could think some crazy shit in my head. But I don't have anybody around me that's going to gas me up. So it's like, yeah, if you're bragging about you're around all these killers and then somebody dishes you, all these killers are going to be like, man, what's up? I want a new Rolex. Just give me a Rolex. I'll go knock them off. Just fly me over there. I'm going to make it happen. So it's like, it isn't just him. It's the influence around him. It's to handle shit like this is Chicago in 2012. And, you know, the shit plays out how it plays out.
Well, listen, I was talking to Trench's News, you know, who knows all these guys. He told me that Dirk was actually scared of some of the people that are around him.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt. I mean, bro, like, me and Dirk, we've only DM'd. He shouted me out, whatever. Somebody else that I know has been around him, and they were trying to say, oh, yeah, like, he really ain't. Dirk be scared, whatever. But it's just like people be talking. You know what I'm saying? But when you're around people that aren't in the same position as you, they're not going to value life the same way. You know? So I'm not saying Dirk is scared or nothing like that. He knows he's the fucking money. He's the one that made it, not y'all. Y'all are in the same boat, and the only thing y'all have to offer is violence. And it is what it is.
Well, there's also the Sauce Walka and Say So P situation. So they were in Memphis. I'm not quite sure what they were doing down there, but I guess Say So P is signed to Sauce Walka. Basically, they were outside of a Memphis hotel, and a car pulled up, got out, and just opened fire. And Say So P got killed, and Sauce Walka, I think, got shot in the leg.
Yeah.
And I guess a few days later, one of the suspects in the murder was found dead in Houston.
Yeah.
Now, they were saying that Say So P had like robbed somebody for $200,000 or something. That's the reason for the murder. I mean, what did you hear about this case?
I mean, I've heard the rumors, you know, that he ran off with some money, whatever. But it's like, okay, I don't know. It was confusing because people made it seem like he ran off on somebody from Memphis. Well, why are the shooters fleeing to Texas? It doesn't make any sense. And then Sauce Walka is from Texas.
Right. Houston, to be exact, which is where one of the suspects
So why the
died.
fuck would you go and do that and then go right to their home base? It doesn't make any fucking sense. All I can say is the biggest fuck up that a lot of people overlooked was the story posts. And they literally, while they're doing videos, the hotel sign is right. You can see it in their room next to the door.
Oh.
So all you had to do was stop it and look, and you can read it says Westin, and there's only one Westin in Memphis. So they literally got caught at the valet parking. Dudes jumped out, did what they did, and essentially Say So P posted the hotel name in the background of his story.
Yeah, it's almost like a Pop Smoke situation.
That's exactly what I thought. And It's unfortunate. I'm glad that, you know, at least Sauce Walka survived the situation. He's been in a couple of situations. And, you know, he talked about it. He said he's got a lot of people willing to do whatever, and he's not going to do anything. He's going to just move on from the situation, and then all of a sudden the news broke that dude's dead anyway. And I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, look, if I wanted to retaliate over someone shooting me, I would do interviews and say, I don't want any revenge. You know, I'm happy to be alive. You know, karma will catch up to them on their own, but I won't be involved in it all. You know, I have no hate in my heart. I'm just happy to be breathing and with my family And, whatever happened, peace and love to everybody. That's what I would say. Because there's a second suspect, 22-year-old Kevin Brown, that's still at large. So, yeah, this situation hasn't ended yet.
Yeah.
It's still going on.
It might get even crazier when they try to figure out who killed the first one. So,
I mean, I guess, all right, you get ripped off for a bunch of money. Okay. So you go and kill the guy who's with a famous rapper. You're not going to get away with it. So, okay, you got your revenge for having your money stolen, but you're going to go to prison forever.
I mean, Memphis is Memphis. They don't give a fuck.
I mean, are those two guys from Memphis? Because, like I said, the whole story about one of the bodies ending up in Houston is just odd.
I'm not sure where they're from, but Say So P had dropped music prior, basically saying his own people were telling him he can't come back to the city. So it's already been established that he wasn't welcome to his home city. And Say So P moved from Vegas to Miami so he wasn't really there anyway. You know what I mean? And then he comes back and this happens.
It's crazy, man. Rest in peace, Say So P. I've never met him or I wasn't familiar with him. But, me and Saswalk have talked a couple times. No one wants to be in that situation.
No.
No. Well, TK's second murder trial has started.
Yeah.
So he's already doing, 55 years?
Yep, 55-year sentence.
The trial started. By the time this comes out, it may end. Witnesses have been taking the stand and pointing at TK as the shooter.
Flat out just saying he's the one that did it, yeah.
He's the one that did it.
Over killing a cameraman and taking his equipment in the parking lot of a Chick-fil-A while on the run.
For another murder.
For another murder.
Right. While doing songs called The Chase.
Yeah, I don't see this ending. I don't see this ending well for him. I don't think it's gonna make a difference though, because he's already doing it in the same amount of time.
Yeah, doing 55 years. If you catch another murder charge, I mean, they'll probably run it concurrently, right?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm not sure. I don't see why they would have to. It's a separate case.
That's true.
No,
you're right.
Normally, they would run it concurrent if it's multiple charges in one case. This is a completely different fucking case.
Okay, so he'll get 55 years plus another 55 years?
Well, the thing is, he got 55 years and he wasn't even the shooter in the first case.
Oh.
He brought the guy that had the gun. In this case, they're saying he's the shooter. He could fuck around and get, I don't know if he could get life for it because I think of the age that he was at the time. He was like 16, 17. But, yeah, they smack him with another fucking 55 and you feel me? That's a lot of motherfucking time.
No, that's it. It's a wrap. You might as well just, get comfortable and, maybe get a boyfriend and,
And he got that, I don't know if you've seen it, he got a crazy ass scar on his neck too. He got cut while he's been in prison. So,
yeah,
he got a nice little keloid scar, but he looks different and not in a good way. He looks like he's aged a lot. And prison will do that to you.
Yeah. Well, in a case that went in a positive direction, A$AP Rocky was acquitted on all counts. And I don't know if you saw, I interviewed his lawyer, Joe Tacopina.
Yeah, I like him. I've been watching that.
Yo, he literally, on my way to this interview, he called me to tell me that he's never seen such a big response from an interview that he's seen from Vlad TV. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, you're representing Wendy Williams now. He goes, yeah, she was one of the ones that hit me. She sent me one of the clips from your interview.
Yeah, I've been watching, hearing these from Brownsville and, growing up and jumping on the case and why they were so confident and just fucking, I'm happy that it played out like that, honestly. And I love seeing a situation where somebody is flat out snitching and then you still beat the case. That's amazing. Because it's just the whole thing seemed like an extortion from the beginning. The fake fucking little gun wound, whatever. And then when he jumped over and hugged Rihanna and, that was a good moment.
Mm-hmm. Look, I kept saying that Rocky should have just taken the plea deal, right? This whole fake gun story I thought was flimsy at best. But after talking to Joe, what I ultimately realized is that ASAP Relly was the reason why he won that case.
Mm-hmm.
He was the sole reason. If ASAP Relly had gotten on the stand and said, look, we got into an argument, he pulled out what seemed to be a gun, he shot at me, I wasn't hit, but it seemed like a real gun, I was scared for my life, and I ran. I thought I'd been shot at, and I reported it to the police. I don't know about the starter pistol. Yeah, I scraped my knuckles on the ground when I fell. I didn't find any shell casings because I was up out of there. I didn't go back to the crime scene. I'm just telling you truthfully what I know and what I experienced. If that happened, Rocky could have potentially been found guilty.
Yeah.
And I even said that. I said, what if, I asked Joe, I said, what if Relly had presented it that way? He goes, well, that would have been easy on him. I wouldn't have anything to really, tear him down over,
I would have been much kinder to him. I would have been like, okay, and that's what you believed, right? You believed it was a real gun. You didn't recover shell cases. You don't know one way or another. But in your mind, at that moment, your life was in danger, right? You were scared. And, thank you, sir. Have a good day. We're friends. I didn't have to yell at you. You didn't have to throw a water bottle. You didn't have to curse in court like you did. It was nice. You were nice. I was nice to you because you're a witness that does not advance the prosecution's theory. I mean, so because he embellished so much, because he lied so much, it made it very easy for the jury to say,
oh, my knuckles got grazed by a bullet. Like, really? Come on.
Bro, Relly snitched and snitched so bad that Rocky beat it.
Yeah.
Saying I never haven't been to no gun ranges out here, and then the lawyer ended up finding out, oh, you were at a fucking gun range. This is the I forgot. Just switching his story and fucking it up.
Right. Yeah. Going back, finding these shell casings, even though there was I think 4 or 5 cops that looked through the whole area, couldn't find any shell casings. He suddenly found them. There was text messages that he deleted. It was just a bunch of BS. Relly single-handedly allowed Rocky to walk free.
Right.
But you know what's crazy, though? At the end of the interview, right, I said, I catch a gun charge. I need you to represent me. How much are you going to charge me? He said, a lot. I said, okay. I'm going to rephrase this. I have a lawyer right now. I'm paying her $950 an hour. My man, Drew Finling, who's Lil Durk's lawyer, referred her to me, right, over this other legal matter I'm dealing with. I said, how much do you charge an hour? He said, $2,400 an hour.
Damn.
I have never heard an hourly rate from a lawyer that high.
That's fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Good for him.
Hold on, I'm going to do the math. Hold on, let's just see this. There's roughly 2,000 hours in a work year, right? At $2,400 an hour. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's $4.8 million a year.
Good for him.
If you're getting that. And let's not talk about your associate probably going to get maybe $500 an hour, and your paralegal probably get about $150. He worked on that case for 3 years. He probably clocked in a good $5 million off that case.
Yeah, and you might get a tip after too. So you might get gifts every Christmas. You know what I mean? So yeah, good for him.
Yeah, no, they're saying they're going to name their next kid after him. They start calling him ASAP Joe. Nah, man, but he's a cool dude, man. Like I said, he just called me literally 15 minutes before I started the interview. He's going to the Mets game. He's chilling. He's got, Richard Mille watches. He's fly. I dig it. I dig it, man. Everyone should have a Joe Tacopina on their legal team.
Yeah, good for him. I like him. He's out of my price range, but if I could, I would.
Well, the K Flock situation.
Yeah.
So, K Flock was actually acquitted of murder, but he was found guilty in the RICO case.
Right.
So, racketeering conspiracy, use of a gun resulting in death, attempted murder, assault with a weapon in furtherance of racketeering, use of a firearm for attempted murder, and assault with a dangerous weapon. He was found guilty of all those. So he's basically facing a life sentence even though he beat the murder.
I don't know if it's up to life. Is that a fact? Because I thought it
No.
was like something up to like 25 or something or whatever. Because with the murder, the judge would have had no option but to give him, I believe, a life sentence. And because he got acquitted of that, he felt like now he has a better chance at, coming home at some point. But he's gonna do time.
Yeah, but wasn't it proven that the other guy was reaching for his gun?
I mean, the other guy basically came out of the barber shop, followed him, and tried to confront him and had a gun on him. And K-Flop boomed his ass, and that was the end of the story. In Florida, he'd have been fine. Georgia, Texas,
Yeah.
fine.
I was about to say that. If this happened in Florida instead of New York, in Georgia instead of New York, in Texas instead of New York, stand your ground. Like Lil Tim, that whole situation.
Yeah.
In the King Von, death. Stand your ground, free to go. That's it. Right? And I don't even think that there was even a gun involved. Well, no, that's not true. King Von's people were pulling out guns and so forth. So yeah, never mind. Old Block Louie, I believe, pulled out a gun and it jammed. And I don't know if you heard, but he died recently.
Yeah, he overdosed.
That's what it was?
That's what I thought it was.
Oh. I just thought it was complications from the head injury or something like that.
No, I heard he overdosed.
Yeah. Yeah, well. Rest in peace, Old Block Louie, man. I got to interview him once. I think I did his last interview ever. But yeah, this K-Flock shit, I don't know, man. I hate that. Like, you're confronting someone with a gun and you want to walk away and live. Like, I probably would have done the same thing.
Well, I'll be honest, though, because there was an Instagram live of him allegedly in the same outfit in rival territory, asking where they're at. So it's like, yeah, you beat the murder. Okay, cool. He tried you. You shot him. But all the other shit that came with it kind of makes sense. Like, he was very much in shit, So it's like, it sucks that he's mad young and he's about to lose his career. But he want to be a gangster. He want to be one of those gangsters in New York that come home when they're 30, 40 years old and they're still living off of that reputation, whatever. That's what it is, bro. Everybody wants to be Pistol Pete until they find out he's an ADX. So it's like, he's just the newest generation, the youngest generation.
It's too bad, man, because he had dope music. Cardi B jumped on one of his songs, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got
she supports the Bronx. So
Yeah.
she be tapped in with a lot of the people out there, but it's an unfortunate situation. And it's like, bro, everybody involved in Bronx drill is pretty much in the same boat. D-Thang beat his shit, but I'll be honest, like, none of their careers are the same because it was that rivalry that kept it going. That's what drill is. There has to be a rivalry. That's why all these drill rappers that are from places where shit ain't popping, like, you're talking about mad murders and nobody's getting killed in your city. And it doesn't make any sense. Versus, you got this kid from here, mad people are dying, they're dissing each other, it's going viral. Once one's out of the picture, the other one doesn't seem to really know what to rap about. And the music doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about New York drill rappers, Chef G, who I interviewed back in the day when he was first starting, he just pled guilty to attempted murder and conspiracy in exchange for a 5-year prison sentence.
Right.
So that's not bad. 5 years for attempted murder?
Not at all. And I believe his plea, too, also saved some of his people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that could definitely be considered honorable in that lifestyle. Same thing Bobby Shmurda did.
Right. But now Bobby Shmurda and Rowdy Rebel don't even get along.
Isn't that crazy?
Right, because Bobby Shmurda, I remember I interviewed him in jail. We talked about this. He took a longer deal so Rowdy Rebel could get a shorter deal.
Mm-hmm. Just to come home and his career ain't the same and they're not even cool now. When he could have just came home early and possibly preserved his career.
Yeah, me and him were talking about doing an interview. We've never done one properly since he was out. We did one in jail over the phone. And he was just asking for a bunch of money And I'm like, all right, I'll pay you this, but I'm going to need 2 hours. He's like, nah, I'm going to give you like 30 minutes. I can make more than that doing a club walkthrough. And I'm like, well, then go do a club walkthrough then. Like, I'm not going to pay you that for 30 minutes. Like, well, what? This is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes these guys, just because they're making money at the very moment, they think that, like, it's just going to come forever. But, like, you look at, for example, the Little Woody situation. I paid him. It was a great interview. It was profitable. He thought it was a great interview. But then he got mad because I interviewed some other people that talked about him. But I'm like, you're part of this story.
That's what happens, yeah. And not
You're
only
part of
that,
the
but you're
story.
famous for all the wrong reasons. So you can't be
Right.
mad when someone points that out.
Right. You're part of the story. Why are you getting mad at me? I didn't diss you. You know, if you want to come on my platform and respond, that's cool. But, you know, this, you know, with the YSL trial over, unless you really reinvent yourself and become like a Charleston White or something, the relevancy is going to start to go down over time.
Right.
You know, and now you're wearing fake lashes and lace front wigs to try to keep it going, I guess. But you really should just rock with the people who actually were rocking with you and not take it so personally. And I was trying to explain that to him, but he really wasn't trying to listen. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to argue with Lil Woody. Like, that's just not how I'm going to spend my day. You know? But, yeah, at the end, like, now it's like, what do you really talk to him about? Right? I mean, he's not with Young Thug anymore. He can't even be around him. So, yeah, I'm still messed up over this eyelash and wig situation. Like, honestly, like, this is kind of like,
Yeah, this shit's
this
crazy.
is kind of it's messing me
Trying
up.
to
I
go
was not
viral.
expecting this.
Yeah.
This was not on my bingo card in 2025, Lil Woody with eyelashes, you know? You know, like my man Ari Spears, he wore some eyelashes in our interview because he's a comedian.
This shit looks ridiculous. No man has ever said, yo, you know what would make her look hotter? Pterodactyl wings on the face, nigga.
Right? We had the makeup artist go in because he was making fun of women with big eyelashes. But Lil Woody with eyelashes, I just don't see the direction. I don't see what he's doing with this. Well, speaking of drill rappers from New York, 5EO Foreign. You know about this situation?
Yeah, so a woman is alleging he pulled a gun on her and basically threatened her and told her to get from around the building. And his lawyer is very confident, saying the case is weak, whatever. But apparently the surveillance video from the building corroborates the woman's statement.
Yeah. So I guess the woman's car died in front of his building and she asked him for a jump start. And she claims he pulled out a gun and said, if I see you parked in front of this building again, there's going to be a fucking problem. And I guess neighbors saw this happen and they knew who he was, so the neighbors called the police on him.
Yeah.
He's been locked up since January 18th. This is like coming up on 3 months.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
if they got him like that on camera with witnesses and all that, I mean, I don't know why the lawyer's so confident. When I seen him in Miami, I said, "What's up?" I didn't get a gun pointed at me, but fucking, I don't know, bro. That surveillance video and witnesses, that doesn't sound too good.
Yeah, man, listen, I hope he gets out. It was a cool, interview that we did. Me and him communicated. He was trying to get some girl that he knew on my platform, and I'm like, well, if you want to do an interview, I'll put her on, but he didn't want to do it, so I'm like, all right, that's cool, whatever. I mean, he is a known rapper. I mean, he's no longer signed to a major label the way he was. Sometimes you see this. You see, like, these rappers, they sign these deals, the label's taking care of everything, the label's making sure the spins are up, making sure he's going on promo tour and, doing the right type of things. That label goes away, you're on your own, you think it's going to be easy, and you realize it's not that easy.
Right.
You got to build your own team. You got to have your own promo team. You got to have your own booking agent. You got to have your own management. You got to, book your own studio time. You got to network and get people on your songs. Like, that's a lot of work that was done for you at that label. And the money starts to slow down. You're seeing it with Meek Mill, right? Meek Mill is having a hard adjustment to non-major label life. And I don't know. I'm sure with a 504, and like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was high at the time. Because this doesn't sound like a sober thing that someone does.
Yeah, and another aspect of it is, they didn't recover a gun, but they don't need to. So, assault with a firearm, you could just tell somebody, I'm going to shoot you. That's assault with a firearm.
Really?
So they don't need well, I got convicted of the same shit in Boston. They said I was chasing somebody with a gun, put a gun in their face, whatever. They never found a gun, but I still ended up convicted of it, and they didn't need to find a gun to convict me of the charge.
Well, in this particular case, though, there's a video, and you see him pointing a gun. I mean, that's what you're saying. I haven't seen the video. So
right. So even if he tried to say, oh, it's fake, and this and that, it doesn't matter because the threat was there.
Well, why would he get convicted if he said the gun was fake, whereas A$AP Rocky walked free because they proved the gun was fake in court?
Well, what was the difference in charges between Rocky and him? Because assault with a firearm is a threat versus shooting at somebody or whatever the fuck.
A$AP Rocky was charged with 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm.
I don't know, maybe it's a state difference then. Because I know for a fact in Florida, if you pull a BB gun on somebody, because the threat is real, that it could be real, you're getting charged as if it's a gun.
Yeah, I don't even know what 504 is doing running around with a gun, period. Because in New York, getting a carry permit is damn near impossible. I think he was in Jersey.
Yeah, he was in Jersey.
I used to live in Jersey.
I think it's the same shit, though, law-wise. I don't think Jersey and New York is...
Yeah, it's almost the same thing. So it's just like, he's charged with unlawful possession of a weapon, aggravated assault, and terrorist threats. And I guess there's 2 other charges. So, like I said, it was a gun that he's not registered to have, the most he probably had was a home permit. So you're not allowed to really carry it outside the house unless you go into a gun range. You're definitely not allowed to wave it around.
Right.
Especially at a woman, man. Like, what are you doing? I can imagine if it's like, all right, there's a bunch of guys were in front of my building and they were threatening me and they're like, yo, we know where you live. And I pulled out a gun because I'm like, yo, get the hell away from here. I feel like I might, die from this altercation. But a woman who needs a jump start? That sounds like you just popped a whole bunch of pills and you're just out of your mind.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a fucking... I'm not even going to say it's an unfortunate situation. It's a stupid situation to be in.
No, this is like stupid. Like, this is not even... Because you can't even say you're the victim here.
Yeah.
Like, you're the aggressor. This is all your fault.
And it's supposedly on video.
And it's on video. Yeah, I don't really see a whole bunch of free 5EOs hashtags around. It's just sort of like, I think people are just shaking their head and like, yo.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a crash out right there. Yeah. Did you follow the story with the guy who killed Trouble?
Not really. I didn't follow it after the actual murder. I just remember covering the murder itself.
Well, Jermichael Jones basically pled guilty and got a 20-year sentence. So they actually dropped a bunch of charges against him: family violence, battery, possessing a gun during a felony, malice murder, criminal damage to property, and aggravated assault. But a 20-year plea deal is a hell of that's a really long plea deal.
Yeah, it's got to be one of those situations where you're facing forever or 20. And he took the 20.
Yeah. Dumb situation. And it's like, I don't know if I ever told you I had a similar situation happen.
Yeah, you told me. The home invasion.
The home invasion situation. And it's like a guy comes in and, I thought I killed him when I walked out. This particular situation kind of went the other way. The guy came in and killed the guy with the girl. I'd heard rumors that he might go free before the plea deal, because it's like they were saying that he still lived there. He had some of his things there. So it was like, especially down south, there's certain rules about if you find a man in your house. Like, I think in Texas, I believe there's a law that said that if you come home and your wife is having sex with another man, you could kill them legally or something like that.
What the fuck?
Let's look this up.
The South got, I guess, the best laws when it comes to killing people.
Okay, here we go. Okay. So I'm right and I'm wrong at the same time. So in Texas, there was a law where killing a person caught having sex with your spouse was legally justifiable. But in 1973, they repealed it. So up until the age I was born,
You could go ahead and...
up until the year I was born, 1973, you could legally kill somebody for having sex with your wife in Texas.
Hey, fucking different times.
Right. But I guess they repealed it. So I guess at one point people are like, okay, this is getting a little out of hand.
Too many people getting killed.
But yeah, man, like, I've always said this. If you meet a girl, take her to a hotel or take her to your place if you live in a secure location. Like if you live in a gated community or if you're like in a high rise with a doorman. But don't go to their place.
No.
Until you get to know them. And listen, man, like, I can see how ugly this could get. Because like I said, I was in a similar situation. But like, the guy who killed him probably knew who Trouble was. Because Trouble was like a local celebrity in Atlanta. So it's like, not only is this dude fucking your baby mother, but you know who he is.
Yeah.
And he's richer than you. Because Jermichael Jones actually used to be a rapper. He was part of a Brick Squad Monopoly, that's Waka Flocka's rap crew. And he had a couple of songs with Walka and stuff like that. So this is a guy that had been trying to be a rapper for a long time, failed at it. Now this known rapper is fucking your baby mother. I'm sure that just stings extra hard at that moment. And Trouble had money. He could have just gotten a, Red Roof Inn, something. I know, like, Boosie was really close to Trouble. In fact, he has a mural of Trouble in his backyard. He said that when he heard the news, he was on a flight with his daughter, and he said he just broke down in tears.
It was sad, bro, I sometimes still can't believe he gone, bro. Like, but he gone, bro,
You were actually crying when you heard the news.
Yeah, man. I cried for hours straight on the plane. In my daughter's lap, my 6-year-old lap. It was so sad, bro. I'm crying in my 6-year-old lap. Oh, she keeps saying, "What's wrong, Daddy?" So, man, I was hurt, bro. I was hurt.
So rest in peace, Trouble, man.
Rest in
Sad
peace.
situation. Sean Kingston and his mother were found guilty of wire fraud, basically defrauding businesses for more than $1 million. This includes a car dealership where they took a $160,000 Cadillac Escalade, various jewelers, totaling about $500,000. I remember I saw a picture of Sean Kingston with this 200-inch TV in his house. I guess he never paid for that either. And he would pull out like, "Oh, I'm a big celebrity. Me and Justin Bieber are best friends. Let me just hold this and I'll pay you back and I'll bring you all these other clients and whatever else." And he didn't pay anybody back, and now he's facing 20 years. Him and his mother are both facing 20 years over this.
And they're gonna do some time.
This is Florida, right?
Yeah. Well, is this not Fed?
Yep. No, you're right. It's the feds.
Yeah, they're going to the feds. That's like a definite conviction.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Because I've known Sean Kingston since he started.
Right.
I've been good friends with the co-owner of his original label, Beluga Heights, Zach Katz. So I've seen his whole story. I did interviews with him. Me and him kept in touch. I've gone to his parties in Hollywood. Like, me and him are cool. And he's always had, he had this big house in the Hollywood Hills. It was like 4 floors. And, he's always had nice cars, jewelry, whatever else. The thing that really bugged me out, now keep in mind, right? Some people don't know this. When Sean Kingston got signed, he was like maybe 17, 18 years old at the time. His mom was in prison for identity theft. So he grew up in this scammer kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, she already was doing it. And he
She was already doing it.
just made it to where they could really do it.
Look, I understand if you're a high school dropout, you can't really get a good job, and you're just trying to figure out ways to pay the bills, and scamming seems like an okay idea at the time, and you're just doing what you got to do. But when you're Sean Kingston, you're being booked for shows, you got hit songs that you're still getting money off of with the streams, you've worked with Justin Bieber and a whole bunch of other artists. You could work with more artists, and people actually respect you out there because you've been around. And you're doing all this to get a whole bunch of luxury items,
Yeah.
Escalades and jewelry and 200-inch TVs. Like, look, like in one of my places, I have a 98-inch TV. That TV is like maybe cost me like, I don't know, $2,000. A 200-inch TV, because like once you get over like 98 inches, 84 inches, the price just skyrockets.
Yeah.
So a 200-inch TV is probably like $30,000, $40,000. You're taking penitentiary chances over a bigger TV.
Yeah, just to flex, just to fucking. You can't even watch that shit at night. You turn that shit on with the lights off, you're gonna be fucking blinded. So it's like, I don't know, bro. It's. I think for a lot of people, same shit with the Meech shit. It's like you get a taste of a lifestyle, but then you find yourself struggling to maintain the image. And then you end up in a situation like this, and it's like now you're about to go do some Fed time. And he's gonna be famous in the Feds, you know? But who the fuck wants to be that?
Well, I mean, his mom looks like she's like, I don't know, in her 60s. Not in the best of shape. If she gets 20 years, that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
She's I mean, that's a life sentence for her. And I heard that he was like screaming for his mom, like, no, don't take my mom or something. But it's like, well, you doing this shit with her. I mean,
Yeah. You gotta think of that shit before you do it.
Yeah, I just don't get it, man. Like, when I first heard about it, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is just a misunderstanding. You remember how Lil Meech was being accused of stealing that Richard Mille and, you know, it all got worked out?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I was like, okay, cool. Like, he's just going to contact the jewelers. He'll pay him back. He'll return the jewelry. He'll return the Escalade. Everyone will be like, all right, fine, we'll drop the charges. You know, we're made whole again. You know, maybe pay, you know, give them a little extra money to drop the charges. And I thought that was going to be it. I didn't think he was going to blow trial and face 20 years. What's crazy is that he blew trial, meaning that he turned down the plea deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I just don't get it, man. I simply do not get it. Okay, last topic. C. Glizzy is out on $100,000 bond after a quadruple shooting that resulted in a 16-year-old's death.
Yeah.
Tell me about the situation.
So this is a wild one, right? C. Glizzy is a rapper from Pompano. His brother is Pompano Randy, who went viral for doing all the You Jump My Daddy skits and things like that. And what's crazy is I was actually in prison with their uncle, Daytrick Johnson. He's doing a 50-year sentence. This was somebody that I looked up to when I was inside of prison. So when I got out, I ended up tapping in with Pompano Randy. That's how I found out about them. Now, C. Glizzy was on the ugly corner, right across from the Golden Acres projects where Kodak is from. He ended up getting shot in the face. It went through at a certain angle, but he ended up losing vision in his eye. And on the way to the hospital, his brother ended up crashing. It was a crazy situation, but he survived, right? He went on the news talking about how he feels blessed and he's here for a reason. And now he's got an eye patch. And with this situation, what they're alleging is C. Glizzy and, you know, I believe it was 3 people in total, went to the ugly corner, shot it up. They hit 4 people, they killed the 16-year-old. Now, the 16-year-old that got killed, he loves to diss dead people. So he was dissing another 16-year-old that got killed in a different situation, making videos about it, this and that, whatever, whatever. When that happened, it was originally painted that that 16-year-old's death was revenge for the other one. The only evidence in this case is one witness. This kid used to play football, doesn't really have a history of arrests. He went and had, I believe it was 3 or 4 different interviews with the police because he kept recanting his statements. So originally he went to the police with his mother and said, oh, I got carjacked. Black kids with guns told me to get out of the car. They took the car. I don't know what happened. The problem is he filed that police report like 21 days after it happened. So you got carjacked and then 21 days later you decided to tell the police. He recants the statement. Then he gives a new statement and said his friend, C. Glizzy, paid him to use his car, but he left his phone in the car. And he didn't get his phone back until C. Glizzy gave him the car back. So what he's doing then is, oh, if my phone's in the car, but I don't have it, yeah, it might say that I was there because my phone was there, but I really wasn't there. I just left my phone in the car. Then he recants that statement. Then he says he got approached by C. Glizzy and 2 other people that he grew up with. They asked for a ride to the ugly corner. They saw someone they recognized. All 3 of them jumped out, opened fire. 2 of them jumped back in the car. They left one of their friends at the scene. He drove them to a house, then he drove home. He used 15 cans of spray paint to spray the color of his vehicle and change it black. And he claims he had no idea that they intended on shooting up the ugly corner, even though that they were dressed in all black. And C. Glizzy was carrying a rifle at the time that they asked him for a ride. So it sounds like he was the getaway driver. He's given 3 different statements, recanted them. And he's literally the only thing linking them to this quadruple shooting. But in his 4th statement to police, he ends up telling the police the motive was C. Glizzy was trying to kill who shot him all those years prior. So C. Glizzy was shot and lost his eye on the ugly corner. And now he's facing 3 attempted murders and 1 murder as get back for that shooting. But there's no proof of that. Literally the only fucking evidence is this kid, and then they say that they have cell phone GPS location that they were in that area at that time.
Okay, so one witness is tying all this together, and the witness's statements have been inconsistent.
They've been inconsistent, and it's clear as day he's trying to save himself because he's identified himself as the driver. And it's just wild. You know, C. Glizzy went viral back in the day because he was really close friends with XXX Tentacion, who ended up getting killed in that robbery. And yeah, C. Glizzy got a bond, bro, $100,000 bond. He's already out. And it's like, if you got a quadruple murder and you killed a 16-year-old, how the fuck are you getting a $100,000 bond?
Well, a $100,000 bond is really just $10,000 in cash.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So it sounds to me like the evidence.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're saying the bond is too low for
I'm
a
saying
serious
the
murder.
bond is
Yeah.
low as shit for y'all to be confident that he just fucking smoked this whole corner. It doesn't sound like it, and the only shit y'all got, it's not DNA, it's not this and that. They're not snitching on each other. The only one who's talking is this little football player. Because it was his vehicle. He drove them. He admitted to all that. But he's playing like he's oblivious, and clearly it's to save himself.
Well, sounds like C. Glizzy will probably walk free or probably get a time served or probation or something like that.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see, but it's a wild case.
Yeah, but losing your eye, I could see where there's a deep hatred of the person who made you lose that eye.
Well, the thing is, somebody actually already got convicted for that.
Oh, okay.
So that's a whole nother spin on the case. Somebody already went down for that and was convicted of it. So why it's being blamed with someone else is like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. 1090 Jake, man. Another classic one in the can. And we're going to do a segment with you for the Vlad TV YouTube Masterclass. That's only going to be available to members, but everything else will be publicly available. Always a pleasure when we talk, man. Until next time.
Appreciate you.
Peace.